Jimmy High Roller, man. When you're the best player in the world and no one cares, you better be talking about Curry. Because no one gives a fuck about the Warriors this season. And no one gives a fuck about Curry. He wasn't even an all-star starter. So you better be talking about Curry, Mr. Jimmy High Roller. I ain't gonna lie to you. Let's get straight to it.
Call a player who is averaging 34, 9, and 10 a game on 62%.
Who is that? I ain't gonna lie, Curry isn't averaging those points. But just because you ain't averaging these stats don't mean you're not the best player, bro. Who is the best player? I mean, who's averaging these stats? I would say Jokic or Luka.
True shooting. The face of the NBA, the best basketball player in the world. How about the player who is 4th on the NBA's MVP leaderboard?
Okay, so this video about Luka.
10 years ago, these numbers would have had a player in conversations as the greatest basketball player ever, let alone the MVP for a season. But now this stat line hardly even earns you a shot to become the league's most valuable player. Lately, I've been paying close attention to how the MVP race is playing out this season, and it's going about how you would expect. The season started out with Jokic leading the race, coming off a very controversial decision last season. Then Joel Embiid morphed into a basketball god for 2 months and buried all hopes of anyone else winning the award. And then he got hurt, and Jokic jumped back out in front and has held the top spot ever since, with currently SGA in second and Giannis in third. But as I was going over the timeline of the race this season, one thing jumped out at me. Why is Luka Doncic so low?
Where is Curry? That's what should have reached out to you. What you talking about?
Numbers from the season, and yep, they're still completely unreal. So why is he all the way in 4th place at the moment? Have voters gone on a Luka strike?
Mediocre.
They all just collectively decided they're not going to vote for him? I don't know, maybe his play style is just too polarizing to reward. His game right now is often compared to prime James Harden, and we all know how that turned out. But even Harden and all of his antics still won an MVP award. On the NBA's last weekly recap of the race, it seems they've taken a strong stance on his chances of winning the award up to this point. Sorry, Mavs fans, but the standings matter. We understand he scored 25+ points in 9 straight games. But flashy highlights and massive numbers aside, Doncic needs to lift Dallas out of play-in tournament territory to climb near the top of this list. But that isn't true, is it? In fact, I know it's not, because other players have won just as many games as Luka is winning this season, with worse numbers and less individual dominance, and they still went on to win the MVP. Luka Doncic is being held to a higher standard than anyone else right now. And I think we might be looking at the MVP award and how...
I mean, I wonder why he is, though. There got to be something, like... I don't know, I don't really watch too many Mavs games, but when I do, like, bro, Luka be pissing me off, though, because he be getting to the free throw line too much, bro. Like, I don't know. I do see he be always complaining to the refs about not getting a call. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm not taking nothing away from Luka, bro. Luka is that guy. Like, he's very tough. Like, bro, we can barely stop the man when we play him. You feel me? Like, I'm acknowledging his great. Like, he's good, but there's something. There got to be something, bro. There got to be something. I mean, I don't know, though, because... You know what I'm saying? Shea, you know what I'm saying? He's number 2 in the list, but he's like, what, the 1st seed or 2nd seed? Jokic, the 1st or 2nd seed? Who's after that? I mean, Tatum, the 1st seed? Like, you know what I'm saying? He not even in the, like, top 3. You feel me? Like, I don't know, bro.
We value players all wrong.
Fuck his stats. Like, that don't matter, bro. That don't matter.
Today, it's
I was ready for that shit.
100 and entered the league in 2018. He immediately leapfrogged all the assumptions we had about his game and his potential. By his 2nd season, his 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists a game earned him first-team All-NBA.
I didn't know he was
and a
averaging
4th place
29
finish in the MVP
season.
voting at just 21 years old. By the end of his 2nd season, the general perception was that this guy was the future of the NBA. An MVP award was inevitable, and it would happen sooner than...
That is, damn, Jimmy. I ain't gonna lie, Jimmy is kind of opening my eyes a little bit. Hold on. Pause. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Luka, when Luka first got into the league, they was heavy on my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, heavy on him. Talking about he gonna be the face of the league and all that. You know what I'm saying? The talks have definitely calmed down, like, tremendously. And it's kind of crazy because Jason Tatum, they talking about he gonna be the face of the league, but he done pretty much the same shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's done more than Luka, but I don't know, bro.
Than later. But Luka is now in his 6th season in the league, and despite getting better nearly every single season, his place on the MVP leaderboard has only fallen virtually every season. voters seeming to become less and less interested
Damn.
in this Luka magic.
His stats
How
got
did
better
Luka's
every single
best case
season.
for the
That's
most
crazy.
valuable player in the NBA come in just his second season and has only gone downhill since? Are we looking at the MVP award all wrong? Is it even possible
PG,
for
what
someone
the
to be the
fuck?
most valuable player in the NBA while not elevating their team to a title contender? A question not applying
going
to
to
just
James
Luka,
Harden.
but to any player in general. Where exactly is the balance between individual dominance and team success when evaluating the top talents in the NBA? If the Nuggets ran into some injuries and had a tough stretch of games and somehow fell to the 7th seed, would we be willing to admit that Nikola Jokic is still the best and most valuable player in the league despite the lack of team success? Is it possible?
See, that's the thing, and that's why I get roasted so much. That's why Flight, all the Warriors fans, we get roasted so much. If you believe that Curry is the best player in the NBA right now, like today. But that's why I get roasted so much, you feel me? Because I think he is the best. I think he should be winning MVP, but the team is just ass. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much you can do in the league. Here's the thing. I'm going to break it down before Jimmy High Roller does. Hopefully he says this. You feel me? When James Harden and, you know what I'm saying, Curry and all them was winning the MVPs, you know what I'm saying, a few years ago or whatever. You feel me? Curry, like the NBA was balanced. You feel me? Like the league wasn't just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Today, there's so many fucking good teams. Like, Shea is not elevating the OKC Thunder. I just want y'all to know that. He's not elevating them. You feel me? He's doing his thing. He's going crazy. He's not elevating them. They're just a young team that's good. All these niggas in the league, you feel me? That's why the Lakers are down in the standings. The Warriors, like, all the old teams are kind of down in the standings. The Suns, down in the standings. You feel me? These young niggas can run up and down the court fast as fuck. These old niggas can't catch up. Defense is just trash. That is the only reason. But, like, Curry is the best player in the NBA today. If I was to have my pick, it's Curry. He's the best player. I would take him in any playoff series. But the team's just ass. You feel me? Put Curry on the OKC Thunder today. They're winning the chip.
To get voter fatigue or even player fatigue before a player has even won anything? Here's a number for you.
My bad for the rant,
41.8.
y'all.
This is the number you get if you combine the average points, rebounds, and assists per game of every MVP winner over the last 30 years. This season, Luka is averaging 53.2 combined points, rebounds, and assists. The highest combined total since Kareem over 50 years ago in 1972.
Where's
And
Curry
putting up
in the
numbers
top
like
10?
this usually results in winning games and winning an MVP. Most of the players near the top of this list have earned the award for their efforts. Kareem missed out on the award in 1973, but he already won back-to-back MVPs in the previous 2 seasons. James Harden came in second in 2019, but he already won the award in the previous season as
McAdoo,
well.
I ain't gonna lie, never heard of
Luka,
him.
on the other hand, seems to be
Call me a
suffering
casual, I
from a
don't give a
rare
fuck.
case of voter fatigue before winning any awards. Raising the bar to first team All-NBA in just your sophomore season means every year after that must be even better if you really want to captivate an audience. And Luka has gotten better every single season. So maybe he's
really
just
has,
not
though, I
winning
ain't
enough
gonna lie.
games. The unwritten rule about the MVP award has always been that you not only need to be great, but your team needs to be great. But this isn't always the case. In fact, recently, it's hardly the case, and voters have not shied away from rewarding exceptional seasons, even if it didn't result in overall team success.
Cap, no
in
way.
1987, after just over 2 seasons in the league, Michael Jordan finished second in MVP voting ahead of generational talents and vets of the 80s, despite closing the season with a record below 500 and finishing the season on a stretch of 15 losses in 23 games. He was young, he was unproven, and yet voters were still so enamored by his individual
crazy
dominance
glazing.
that they just looked past the lack of team success. One argument you can make for this season is the fact that it happened nearly 40 years ago in a league where numbers like this were unheard of. But a similar case of crazy numbers and individual performance outweighing overall team performance just happened again a couple seasons ago. In 2022, Nikola Jokic won the league MVP after finishing the season with just 48 wins and the 6th seed in the West. His numbers were incredible, and his advanced metrics were even better. In fact, he was so good that the lackluster 48-win total was a bit of an afterthought for many voters. The
I ain't
only
gonna lie
thing
to you,
is,
I don't really remember Jokic going crazy that season. Nah, that's probably just because I didn't really watch no Nuggets games, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Jamal Murray was injured that year. It's the season that we won the chip. But yeah, I don't really remember him going that
This
crazy. I
season,
remember him
the
winning the MVP,
Mavericks
though,
are on
obviously.
pace to winning 48 games as well. And as loaded as Jokic's stat line was in that 2022 MVP campaign, Luka's numbers are just about as good this season. So how does one of these seasons earn a player his second consecutive MVP, and the other hardly even earn a player a spot on the MVP leaderboard? But I think the most glaring case of a player winning over voters with a historic individual season was back in 2017. When
Okay, I
Russell
do remember
Westbrook
Russ.
lit the whole league on fire for 81 games and averaged a 30-point triple-double for an entire season. This was just 7 years ago, and it's already easy to forget just how inconceivable this was at the time. There is
That boy
not a
was so
person
tough,
on
man.
earth who thought a player could average a triple-double for an entire season. So when Westbrook pulled it off, the MVP award had his name on it, and rightfully so. But the Thunder finished with the 6th seed and just 47 wins. In fact, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard both had strong cases to be the most valuable player in the league that season. So again, what has changed between then and now? How did we go from being so captivated with a stat line like this to just casually brushing aside a similar season in just 7 years? But Westbrook's triple-double season in 2017 didn't just shatter our ideas of what were possible from an individual player. His season completely...
What happened to Russ, though? Like, what really happened to Russ? Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? Because Russ, like, he's still athletic. So what happened to his game? That's not... You could say the shooting, but, like, even then, I don't really feel like I see Russ going crazy like how he was. You feel me?
altered the way MVP voting works altogether.
He ain't even older
Up until
now.
Westbrook's 2017 season, the MVP award was virtually the best player on the best team award. If your team wasn't the first seed or on occasion the second seed going into the playoffs, your chances of winning the award were almost non-existent. From 1988 to 2016,
They got us, yo. I was so locked into the video, man.
23 of 29 regular season MVPs went to players who led their team to the best record in their conference. 5 of the 29 MVPs went to players who earned the second seed, and only 1 went to a player who didn't lead their team to a top 2 seed. But with Westbrook's MVP in 2017, voters of the award and fans in general almost recalibrated the way they approached the discussion of who the most valuable player
see
in the
who on
league
the
can
bottom.
be
I see
and what
Curry.
is required of them.
You got
Because
Durant,
4 of the
LeBron,
last 7
D-Rose,
MVPs
Kobe.
finished the season with the 3rd seed or lower. This season, Jokic is favored to win the award, and the Nuggets are on pace to finishing the season with the 3rd seed as well. Something that only occurred once in 37 seasons and required the best player of all time to put up the best individual season of his career is about to happen for the 5th time in just 8 years. It's almost as if overnight we all realized that winning the most games is not the end-all be-all to what makes a player the most valuable. 10 years ago, an NBA fan posted this on Reddit, and reading it is almost like jumping into a time machine and traveling into the past. He goes on to list the last 30 MVP winners and the seed they earned going into the playoffs, recognizing the correlation between winning the most games and winning the MVP. And he posted this with a note at the end that tells you everything you need to know about how the award worked just 10 years ago. I put this on here so people hopefully stop making unlikely MVP predictions.
What is that? These numbers here. So I put this on here so people hopefully stop making unlikely MVP predictions. No, Anthony Davis is not going to the Buckets if his seeds for an MVP. Please stop saying that. So I already know someone's going to say go back a couple more years. Yes, it goes long. Okay.
Predictions. No, Anthony Davis is not going to
This
lead the
nigga Reddit,
Pelicans
fuck.
to the 5th seed and win MVP. And the comments on this thread are just as insightful as the post itself. So is it really an MVP award? In theory, yes, but maybe it's more of a best player on the best team. Players do not win MVPs getting 6th seeds, overwhelming majority of the time, because this is a superstar league and superstars get top seeds. And this fan is right, or at least he was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's
So
10 years
why
ago.
did we make exceptions for other players and continue to do so, but we hold Luka to such a strict standard? If the Mavs went on a nice stretch of wins to close out the season and finished with, let's say, 53 wins instead of 48, finished with the 4th seed instead of the 6th, would that really help Luka's case? The Mavs could have an easy schedule to close out the season. Kyrie could go on a tear. The team could get into a rhythm and earn a higher seed, and Luka could be playing at the same level he did all season But since they're winning more games, none of which had anything to do with Luka playing better, he would miraculously have a better case for the MVP? I know this is how it works. This is the nature of this award. But it's still a bit odd that there is so much weight put into some factors when considering who the most valuable player in the league is. And the season Luka is having in particular is shining a massive light on this irrational way of going about this. Is Jason Tatum more valuable than Luka this season? You could make the argument, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would, including the NBA's MVP leaderboard. And yet, Luka has been more valuable this season according to virtually every single metric other than win totals. Jason Tatum has missed 5 games this season, and in those games, the Celtics have outscored their opponents by 77 points. This season, Luka has missed 8 games, and in those games, the Mavericks have been outscored by 47 points. When Jason Tatum isn't on the court, the Celtics are plus 10.1 points.
Bro, you can't do this. Jimmy, you can't do this. Jimmy, you can't do this. 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 You cannot do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. Because put it like this, Jimmy. If these two teams were meet up in the finals, who does everybody got winning? Now, most people, I mean, some people would probably say the Mavs can win just because niggas be hating on Jason Tatum and shit like that. But realistically, everybody's going to pick the Celtics. They have a better team. You can't do this. You know what I'm saying? You can't do this. You feel me? You cannot do this. Stop.
100 possessions this season. When Luka isn't on the court, the Mavericks are minus 2.8 points per 100 possessions this season.
That's why they're not the first seed.
On the court, the Celtics are still really good. When Luka isn't on the court, the Mavericks are terrible. To look at how many wins a team has as the driving factor for the MVP race neglects how teams even got those wins and how much the best player on that team is.
Here's how I look at it. Yeah, Jason Tatum got the better team. He's still putting up good stats. You know what I'm saying? Because if Jason Tatum was not putting up good stats, that team is not the first seed. You feel me? They're not. You know what I'm saying? Now, Luka, in his case, it can be the same thing. If he's not putting up the same stats, you know what I'm saying? Actually, you know what? That might be what's up with, you know what I'm saying, Luka. You feel me? I just feel like, I don't know, maybe like the people, whoever does the voting, I don't fucking know. Whoever does that shit, maybe they think he's like, I don't know. I ain't trying to even put no allegations on, bro. I ain't even trying to put that on, bro. I'm just
contributing to those wins.
I was just
Now, this season might actually be a case of the league getting a whole lot better, or maybe just the stats getting better, rather than voters and fans appreciating different aspects of the game and its players than they did in the past. The threshold for what it takes to make, let's say, an all-NBA team, earn the label of superstar, and win the league's MVP has been raised so high that a player could have a one-of-one, unprecedented season and not even get a mention as one of the league's best players. A great case of this is Domantas Sabonis, who is averaging 20 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists a game right now, and he wasn't even selected as an all-star this season. These are not empty stats. He's not a product of the system he plays in. He is a certified star. But since there's a guy in the league who can do all of this and more, he ends up being unjustly labeled as the watered-down version of Nikola Jokic. It feels a bit surreal that we live in a time where a player like Luka Doncic exists with numbers like these, and the MVP award isn't already boxed up and on the way to his house as we speak. And this realization is less about Luka and more about the big picture of the league right now. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around how much things have changed, and even harder to grasp how quickly they have changed. How can he be this good and still be trailing behind multiple other players? If it wasn't for Embiid getting hurt, Luka could very well not even be within the top 5 on the MVP leaderboard, while averaging nearly a 34-point triple-double and being on pace for 48 wins. Which begs the question, what would a player in Luka's position need to do 48 wins? Which begs the question, what would a player in Luka's position need to do to win the MVP? With the 6th seed, an underwhelming supporting cast, and a handful of generational superstars to contend with, what would be the equivalent to the 2017
Lakers don't want to see the Mavs in the playoffs, I'll tell you that.
In 2024, where the numbers are just too absurd to ignore? 38, 10 and 10, maybe 40 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists a night on league-high efficiency? It sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. How good do you have to be to win the MVP in today's NBA when you put the bar as high as Luka did at such a...
It's quite simple. It's quite simple, bro. You have to average the points, and your team has to be a high seed. That's just the nature of it, bro. That's the nature of it, man. We all know this. It's the nature of it. If you have the points and your team's good, you're gonna get the shits. You feel me? Like, if Curry was averaging the most points in 2022, and our team was the what? Weren't we like the 3 seed or some shit? Curry would have got MVP. Curry would have got MVP. If he was averaging the most points in the league, and our team was like a 3, we were the 3 seed, bro, he would have got that fucking MVP. So it's like, Luka his team got to start winning. I mean, it's not his fault. You feel me? It ain't really his fault. His team just not that good.
Young age, how much higher would you need to go for it to be impossible for fans and voters to ignore your efforts? Or is the MVP award still just the best player on the best team award?
It is still the best player on the best team. You feel me? Because, put it like this, bro. Who won last year? Embiid? You know what I'm saying? I don't remember what seed they were. I don't give a fuck about the Sixers. But you take Embiid off that team, they're shitty as shit. You know what I'm saying? The same thing can be said for Luka right now, but they're already still mid. You know what I'm saying? They're not even, like, up there. So it's like, what do you do with that? You feel me? I can't give you the MVP when you got niggas who are averaging damn near the same points as you, and their teams are up there. Like, that's just how it work, Brody. That's how it work, bro. But I'll see you on the next one, man. Road to 10K.